Hey, folks, how's it going out there? Uh, Welcome back to another Drink and a Wink info review. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Very exciting to kind of be here and after kind of being away for a little bit. We've been kind of coming at you with a couple different, text and video reviews. It's kind of a fun day. Relaxing, doing that kind of stuff before the work week. Let's see, we didn't do too much in terms of Irish type things, but we did watch Rick Steves on PBS go through some wonderful travelogues of Ireland. And then I watched actually an exciting Blackhawks hockey game. Those are hard to come by these days. And after going down 2-0, they came back with 5 goals and beat the mighty Anaheim, or not the Anaheim, the Sharks, the San Jose Sharks. So that was a lot of fun. I always like um, when the Blackhawks are home on St. Patrick's Day. They always do it upright, and seeing that Chicago and maybe just a little bit behind Boston in terms of the country's biggest bastions of Irish and Irish heritage. Seems mystifying that they haven't had a home game on St. Patrick's Day since 2015, but what do I know? I've only been a hockey fan for uh, probably 48 of my 52 years. Anyway, enough about that, right, Michelle? Okay, so she's off. She's going to be off camera, but she's going to try what we're drinking today, and talk about it a little bit, or just kind of give her an opinion. So what we're going to do? We've been talking about some more affordable, some more um, grocery store finds. We've done a whole lot of stuff on everything from single pot still Irish whiskey to blended Irish whiskey. We've talked about everything as lowly as Jameson and Bushmills. We've talked about Glendalough and the spots. Why I need a drink, and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to talk about something a little different here. We're going to talk about Dingle Irish whiskey. Okay, now I bought this bottle of Dingle Irish whiskey almost a year ago, and I didn't do a video on this, but I did do a kind of like a just a little text review, and I had kind of felt that I just opened it up with a neck pour on this bottle, and I said I'm going to put it away for a little bit, maybe try it a few more times and see where it goes. I did that. You can see here that we did pretty good on this bottle, but for a year, I haven't had a whole lot, and now I'm coming back to it. I did have a taste a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, this does need revisiting. So what are we going to talk about here? The Dingle Distillery is, in distillery terms, is like brand new. It's a baby. Okay, this Dingle Distillery came about. I'm going to kind of look at my notes here. Um, some gentlemen named Oliver Hughes, Liam Lahart, and Peter Mosley Oliver were behind this. They were actually doing, they had a brewery with this Porterhouse Brewing Company. And then after a little while, I'm cutting to the chase here, they opened up this distillery. And they were really trying to look for something that's very small, independent distillery type vibes, artisanal kind of stuff like that. Okay. So they opened this distillery in 2012. Uh, it is amazing that still they have not moved on to another bigger company. They're keeping it very small. And I don't know if this would be wrong for me to say, and I've tagged them in, maybe we'll get a comment, that this really does kind of look like they're trying to take on more of the nature of a small single malt scotch kind of vibe than anything that you would think of trying to battle the Jamesons and Bushmills and those Irish whiskey distillers of the world, which is fine. It's always nice to have a bunch of different kinds of things. The second thing that kind of leads me to that is they also, after a little while, were looking for a distillery manager, and they brought in a name that I had known about for a while now. And this gentleman's name is Graham Cool. Okay, it's not spelled. It's a cool name, Graham Cool. It's not spelled Cool. It's Coull. But Graham Cool has had a long history in all across different spirits and brewing too. But for a long time, he was the bottling manager at William Grant and Sons, and then he became the distillation manager for Glenfiddich, Belvany, and Kininvie. Okay, All three of those we're familiar with. So lots of single malt Scotch heritage. And then he moved to Glenmoray, which we've had a couple of those. He was there for 14 years. He was the master distiller there. Very interesting stuff. That was his history. And then did remember hearing an interview, and he just decided to move over into Irish whiskey, but it's obviously going to bring a single malt Scotch whiskey kind of narrative to the fold. They have a well, I don't want to say a bunch. They have some different things in the core range, but there's nothing there that's going to be kind of you're going to be competing with your $20 bottle Jameson. They're an artisanal. They wear it on their sleeves that they're trying to do something, high quality, high craft, really interesting stuff. Okay, there have been just an amazing number of distilleries popping up now in Ireland. This is one of them. And after a long time of it really almost kind of falling apart, and only two or three companies or distillers on the island, uh, the growth has been amazing. But enough about the growth. Let's talk about this. Dingle, single malt, single malt Irish whiskey. So we are not having their. I don't own, and we are not having their copper pot or single pot still Irish whiskey. We are having their single malt Irish whiskey, which again, if we remember what that means, single malt means it's only going to be malted barley in this. Okay, so this is already starting to push towards a single malt Scotch whiskey kind of vibe. They're also doing some stuff with aging. In addition to the bourbon cask aging, they're also doing some marrying whiskey aged in bourbon casks along with PX or Pedro Jimenez casks and Madeira casks, both sherries. Okay, so that's the rub on this. The thing that I really like about this is everything is they're trying to go for quality. The box is very traditional. It does remind me of the Belvani box or canisters, which is interesting. It has a nice rough finish on here. Everything's real nice. This was bottled at 46.5, which is great. Real nice, middle of the road. Not middle of the road, higher than the middle of the road to 46.5. It's really nice for a core range product. This is their fifth batch of the single malt Irish whiskey. All right, triple distilled. That's common. Okay. We're going to give this a blast. The fifth batch, they're doing slightly different things with aging from batch to batch. The 2013 batch, or number three, no, not 2013, what am I trying to say? Batch number three, I think, was one of their biggest award winners. I ended up getting the 5. Okay. What else is on this label here? I think there was only, what is the batch? Yeah, 32030. That's this bottle. So you have all the kind of bottling on there, all this good stuff. I have to take off my reading glasses inextricably. Why I can't read with these glasses on. Anyway, let's drink some whiskey. Michelle, did you already try it? Okay. So on the nose, it's interesting compared to that Teeling that I had yesterday. This is much more reserved. Um, nice little fruit notes, raisin notes, things like that. Uh, Before I would even take a sip of this, I can tell that there is some sherry cask influence on this. And again, nothing is being added to this. It's single malt Irish whiskey, triple distilled, and then they're aging it in ex bourbon casks, ex Madeira casks, and XPX sherry casks. Mm. Right out of the chute, I'm getting nice fruit notes, sherry notes, but that Irish whiskey um, note of the copper pot still, which I know they're doing this batch in. Uh, they have copper pot still and they have column still there, I think. I'm not 100% sure. They also had a big success, like many companies, starting off with their gin and their vodka, unaged products. But this is all copper pot still influence. Mm. right off the hop. I'm getting this buttery flavor. Get a little bit of caramel and dark fruit flavor through the finish. There's a little bit of earthiness, but I don't get a lot of. Yeah, there's not any earthiness in this because this is malted barley. What do you think?
I'm getting a little touch of almond or what's the candy?
Almond. That I did not get, but
What's the almond candy?
almond candy.
Yeah.
Almond candy.
No.
Don't know what the almond
Yes.
candy is.
They
Almond
they
joy.
go out there. No. Marzipan. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And banana.
Banana.
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't get banana. I'm gonna try that again. Mm. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of it. On the end, this wraps up. This is what's cool about this. This wraps up very. Now I'm getting the bourbon cask influence a little bit oaky, but that sherry finish really pulls this through. There is no way that I could tell you that this is a traditional Irish whiskey, right? It really tastes like we're drinking scotch. Yes.
It does.
Okay, but I'm going to give that to them. Irish whiskey sometimes gets this name for being, sometimes there is plenty of delicious Irish whiskey. We have some of it right here. It's really, really good. Um, but it's nice to know that with this growth, we're not just getting growth of the same kind of things in very kind of similar kind of products of lower $20 to $25 products. Uh, this is a real zesty flavor. The mouthfeel lasts forever. This is just, it's still there. Really nice.
Yeah. Lingers.
Mm. There's a little bit of I don't want to say a leathery component, but there's a sandalwood component there too, right?
Hmm.
Are you getting that at all?
I'm not sure if I know what sandalwood would taste like.
You know what it smells like,
I
right?
know I don't like the smell of it, so I don't
Oh,
know that I'm getting that.
okay. Uh, I guess yeah. There's a little bit of a. This just tastes. There's no age statement on this like you would have it. You're guessing it's probably 3 years. This was. When was this bottled? It just has a really nice flavor, and like I said, when I first opened this, I think it suffered from kind of, you know, I just opened it up. We didn't obviously shake it because we're not, ruffians. Um, and
Hooligans.
hey, we're not hooligans. We're not any of those things. But yeah, this little combination of raisins and a little bit of honey. You're not going to go with me on sandalwood, but I always think of sandalwood as kind of like similar to like maybe more like not so sweet vanilla. That's all I always say.
That's interesting.
Then I'm getting a little bit of that. Anyway, are you going to find Dingle Batch 5 out in the wild? Probably not, but I'm going to tell you, if you are a fan of just whiskey in general, this is a high quality product. Might be a little bit pricey. Again, got lucky that I bought this on the last St. Patrick's Day sale. Kind of a little message here, though. Patience. You open something up, you're not totally knocked out by it. As you can see, I didn't have a whole lot more of it. It's really interesting, though, that this is like, if I didn't have the name on this and you were looking at the bottle, you'd think this is Balvenie, right?
Totally. Yeah.
It's interesting, and that he worked there for a long time. Um, it's a nice choice. I would say when you're out, check it out. But this is more just because of the spirit of Ireland. I don't know what I'm talking about. I know I've been texting with Mike Wallace. He's there right now. Uh, and this is kind of just this idea that, there you can have kind of basic and you can take it into a very kind of adventurous and artisanal and take your time and really Ireland is now coming to where in the whiskey world they have all different elements to offer from the lowly little very grainy blended Irish whiskey to products like this which are just delicious. um, I didn't drink a lot of this but I would be guessing that St. Patrick's Day 2025 there's gonna be a lot more of this gone. This is very good. Mm. So check it out. I haven't looked in a while if they move on to batch 6. This is the only one that I saw in my store, and I haven't looked at it in a while. check it out. I can tell you that if this tastes like this, there's single pot still Irish whiskey, the grand tradition of single pot still Irish whiskey. Um, that's gonna be very good. Um, while we wrap up here, I just want to tell you one more thing. I've given you a lot of different information. I want to say a couple more things when you talk about Irish whiskey, and then I'm probably not going to talk about Irish whiskey for one time. Just like other Scotch whiskey, okay, whether it's blended or whatever, what I'm starting to see is now we have kind of four classifications, okay? Yeah, four classifications, and you really could say five. The the one you're going to see the most of is called blended Irish whiskey. It might just say Irish whiskey, okay? Like if I grab for Tullamore Dew, let's see if it even says it, okay? This is one of the more inexpensive bottles you're going to get. It just says triple distilled Irish whiskey, okay? That's that's what you're going to see in grocery stores and most of. Then when we go up, the next thing you might be looking for is copper pot still, okay? That does not mean that it's a single pot still, but copper pot still, okay? Copper pot still is just meaning that it could be the same as the previous one, blended whiskey, but they're doing it just in copper pots. That is how this is done. What is a copper pot still one that I know of? Writer's Tears is copper pot still only. There's a couple other ones. All right. Then when we get up, the grand tradition of Irish whiskey is what we call single pot still Irish whiskey. Okay, or pot still Irish whiskey. You're going to have different names on it. Redbreast is a classic example of that. Okay, single pot still Irish whiskey. When you see that, okay, you don't have to see the copper. Single pot still Irish whiskey. What that is it's coming from one distiller, and they're using a combination of malted and unmalted barley. So the unmalted barley gives it a little bit more of a grain, the grainier, darker side of the flavor, and then the malted barley, okay, adds some kind of sweetness, and they mix that together. That's what that is. Finally, your last classification, did I already say three or four? Is that you could also see single grain whiskey, okay, Irish whiskey. So that's what you're kind of looking for when you're trying to find the difference. All right, you got blended Scotch whiskey, just copper pot. That's not different. It's just telling you a little bit more of what they're doing. Like I said, I don't know if I have any more examples of that, but the one that I know it just says copper pot is um, Writer's Cheers. I'm sure there's many others that I'm just off the top of my head I can't think of. Then you also have some kind of aging things, but the most important thing is when they decide to, okay, we're not going to have any other grains in there. It's just going to be barley, and you're going to find that in a single malt like this, okay, single malt, and or single pot still Irish whiskey. That means it's one grain, okay, and it's going to be barley. Could be malted, could be unmalted. All right, that was maybe confusing. Anything else to say, Michelle? There you go. I'm going to put the link in the website too. Go check out the website. They have a really cool website, and they are seeing that they've kind of done a lot of different things with their spirits, being vodka, gin, and they were originally brewers. There's some really tasty recipes that I might actually try once we get off of this thing here. All right, we'll see you. No alerts. The phone didn't tell me all of a sudden the microphone wasn't working. I don't know. Hopefully this will work. All right. Does it sound like it was good? All right. It's time to eat. What does it mean? Our traditional Irish dinner tonight. What are we eating?
Going to be a capri pasta salad.
Of course. Why not? Oh, all right. Cilantro
Cilantro.
and abundanza.